Comics. No, yeah. So, but the individual stuff. All right, here we go. We good to go? Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Healy, and this is Fistful of Geek. And if you're watching this show, you know who the man standing next to me is. Mr. Todd McFarlane. Very nice to have you on the show, sir.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me on today.
Now, a lot of people would say that you are one of the greatest Spider-Man artists of all time. They would say that you're one of the greatest baseball fans of all time, and probably one of the greatest toy makers of all time. So we have a question we want to know is it tiring being this goddamn awesome?
You know what, it's flattering. People say a lot of nice things about you, but it's sort of interesting. When you're on that side of the fence and you're actually the guy that's doing the work, you wake up every day sort of thinking you can do better than you did yesterday, right? So there's never a time that you wake up and you go, I've hit the peak. You know, that's right. You know, back in the 90s, I was as good as I was ever going to get, and I'm just going to coach. So every day you're waking up, you're still trying to hone your abilities. I still keep thinking that my best page is still next week, and my best toy is next year, and you know, all the ideas that you have coming. Everything leading up to that was just sort of a precursor to actually get you to really sort of your nirvana. But the sad truth is, we're neurotic artists, right? And we just chase the elusive perfection until we take our last breath, and we never get there.
Absolutely. Now, I love the fact that you said that your best page is still yet to come. And I'm sure there's 1,000 comic book fanboys out there just screaming with delight, waiting for that one great page. Now, you're a man that wears a lot of different hats. We were talking about toys. Now, you've got the Walking Dead figures coming up now, which look absolutely phenomenal. What was it like working with the production crew on the Walking Dead stuff?
Well, I mean, again, whenever we do the stuff that's based on either the movies or the toys, or I mean, the movies or TV, what you're trying to do is be as loyal to the product as possible. So we've got two Walking Dead series. We signed a license with AMC in which we actually get to do the TV show. So that one, the goal there is to go, whatever you see on TV, you're now going to get it 6 inches of plastic. The other one is now the comic book version, which is us now doing a little bit of artistic license of taking these black and white images that are sort of flat and then sort of bringing them to life in plastic so that you have sort of the comic book and the TV version of each one of them. But whenever we do anything, like I said, that it pre-exists, my job isn't necessarily to add anything artistic to it other than trying to catch the detail in a moment. Maybe, you know, the pose is fairly dynamic, but the design of them is already pre-built. I'm not sitting there going, hey, let's make a zombie. They've made the zombie. My job is to make sure that it's the zombie that you see. So there's nothing worse. I used to buy some where I'd see it up on a poster, and then you buy the toy and you go, that doesn't look like it, right? So my goal is to just make it as authentic as possible.
And that's great. And so far, with the entire range of McFarlane toys, you've done that pretty darn well. Everything's great, from the sports toys to the Spawn figures. I mean, they really pop. I mean, they're really some of the best stuff out on the market.
Yeah, well, one of the things that was interesting that through the 20 years we've been making the toys now was trying to see how much detail you could actually put into a figure and it would still hold up at 6 inches, right? And we found, incredibly, the answer was a lot, right? I mean, because when I start companies and I do the things that I do, my first curiosity is always going, why don't they do this and this? So that's sort of some of the early experiments that we do. And within about a year and a half of making toys, all of a sudden I saw, you know, when we were doing the prototypes, we were etching these little sort of minute details. I didn't think it was going to work. We sent it over to China, and all of a sudden, bam, it actually reproduced at a small scale. So the question then at that point was, wow, if it holds up at that, then how much tighter can we get it? And now we can do it instead of just in one spot, we can do it all over the place, and you can hold up. So the only reason a lot of toys don't have it, sad to say, is just because it takes a little bit more effort and a little bit more time. And sometimes I think some of the other companies are on a tighter deadline. And then sometimes when you do the detail, you have to paint it, and that comes at a cost. You know, each time you put a different color, there's a cost associated with it. And there's a lot of product out there that they're trying to limit sort of the palette visually. And you know, where an average toy has about 60, what we call 60 paint hits, a lot of mine have about 230 to 240, so we're doing it 4 times the rate that everybody else does. And the cost goes up, but I think that the end result is worth sort of the effort. And it was why when they said, Todd, you can never get an extra $1 for the toys. Everybody's selling them for $5, you're selling them for $6, and they're selling for $8, you're selling for $9. And my thought was, if I give them an extra $1 worth of value, then the answer is yes, they will buy it, right? I mean, from a consumer point of view, if you price it at the point where people think that that's a fair value, then of course you can sell it, right? Even you can sell $30,000 cars, $100,000 houses, $250,000 video consoles. I mean, as long as somebody thinks that they're getting their money's worth, you don't box yourself into price and then start engineering backward.
We're glad that you have a passion for that design and you take it that way and you provide something that nobody else is doing.